May 1st, Monday, May 1st, first vehicle of the day, 316, 318. That's almost a double whammy. What a nice way to start May. Okay, I've got an ALH here with check engine light on, EGR insufficient flow, and you can see here in measuring block 003 specified air mass through the MAF sensor is supposed to be 370 milligrams a stroke. Actual readings from the MAF sensor are 520. So that indicates that there's lack of EGR. EGR 4.5. Actually, we can also switch to basic setting. You can see the difference. So right now it's commanding it on, fully on, and the reading is not dropping. So we'll just go back out. So even at idle, the EGR is supposed to open. And then, hold on, I just lost communication. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so at idle it's supposed to open up the EGR a little bit, and the computer can tell that it's not flowing EGR by measuring the MAF sensor. So what you first want to do is check vacuum on the EGR valve. And you see no vacuum. Just going to pump vacuum a little bit. You can see now the reading is down to 340, somewhere around where it should be. So I know that the EGR is okay, the actual valve can move and it's flowing exhaust gases, but there's no vacuum getting to it. This is a quick, simple one in terms of always do your basic checks. Customer complained about radiator fan not working. First thing I did was disconnect the radiator fan switch here, and I bridged the connectors, and sure enough the fans weren't coming on. Then I came over here and I checked for power on the fuses and the fuses themselves. Power was good, ground was good, but sorry, I missed a step. First thing I did was attach a test light to battery negative, and I noticed these cables here, or this bolt was loose, so these guys were also loose and not making good contact. So once I tightened that down, checked the fan again, and sure enough they came on. So this is one of these is probably the ground for the fan module here, and that's why it wasn't working. So whenever you're working on something, obviously a test light is good, but always do like a wiggle test. Anything that's loose in terms of wiring that has a clamp, tighten it up. Okay, here's a BEW engine, but it's in a Jetta or Golf, it doesn't really matter. Your Beetle is going to be the same. So find the upper radiator hose, here it is, follow it along to the flange. You're either going to have a plastic flange or a metal flange. A metal flange if it's a standard transmission like in this case. Keep following the flange to the other side. It's going to be hard to see on your vehicle, but this is where the temperature sensor is. So you can see the metal flange here, and you can see the little green piece. That's the temperature sensor. You may very well have an old style black sensor, so in which case change it to the new style blue, green. Obviously there's a little clip, you push the clip, and then while you're pushing the clip you pull the connector off. Also push the connector towards the temperature sensor first, and then pull the tab, and then pull the connector. It helps release the connector. 2003 ALH. Look, you can see all the soot here. This is all exhaust coming from that exhaust flex pipe. The flex pipe is part of the catalytic converter, but on the cylinder head at the manifold, there's bubbles. Let me just put the camera up in there. You'll see bubbles coming out. So the turbo or the manifold gasket is no good either. sure if you saw the bubbles. There's a little bit of rust in there, but the channels themselves are not bad. So I'm just gonna wire wheel that to clean. It's got a little brush, and I'm gonna put them back together. I'm gonna swap the left with the right so that the bearings run backwards. That extends the life a little bit. Eurovan belt tensioner is rattling with the alternator one-way clutch and speed. It's not focusing, sorry. That was like a corkscrew. He's really sticking the landings.
Did you hear that? Du, die sind schon 40 Jahre alt. Ja, aber die Frau ist reingekommen und hat gesagt, no, they're just fine for me. I have a computer here. Ah ja, die sind bequem. Sagt ja, pro Stück 5 $. Okay. Ja, aber was willst du, gell? Gut, für 40 Jahre Spiel. Nicht schlecht. Das habe ich schon nicht gesagt, aber ich habe gesagt. Ja, nö, ist ja egal. Ja, aber für das ja eben. Du, Trudi, das Sofa da vorne, das ist auch alles 40 Jahre alt.
Hi, Steve! Oh, shit. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Timing belt looks like it was done recently, not by us, by somebody else. The cam mark you can see here. There it is. So that's lining up correct. But if you look down at the timing belt, or the crank, sorry, just trying to get oriented here, sorry. Where are you? Oh, come on. There's the crank, the white mark. And it's out from the actual timing mark. So cam crank correlation is wrong. Somebody just did the timing belts and it's setting a cam crank code. Okay, so my coworker just realigned everything. All he did was collapse the tensioner. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in here. So basically what you do, or what he did, is there's a tensioner right there. You collapse it with a screw and that loosens up the timing belt. You can then slide the timing belt off of the cam, rotate the cam, and then line everything up. So you can see the cam is lined up. And right down there, this is the white mark for the crank, and there's a black dimple to the right of it. It's not focusing, but trust me, it's there. That was it. And over here is the TDC mark on the flywheel. And the cam correlation code should be gone. Cam crank correlation should be gone. Thanks for watching. He's a good guy. He's really good. He knows his stuff.
Look at my middle finger.
One of my YouTube followers was wondering about his or her 2.5 liter engine, whether or not it was too noisy or not. Here's one that I consider to be normal sounding. I know it's going to be difficult with the microphone or the phone, cell phone, determining engine noise, but anyways, here it is. So I don't know if this was going to be useful or not, but that sounds normal to me. Maybe post your own video so I can hear what yours sounds like. 2.5 liter Rabbit knock sensor location at the back of the engine block. There's number 1, and there's number 2 there. Underneath the exhaust manifold. So point of reference, there's a downpipe. That was the subframe. There's a right drive shaft. Knock sensor. Knock sensor. 2001 Cabriolet, just checking it over for some servicing. Customer wants to know the condition of the vehicle, whether or not they want to keep it longer or whatnot, see what the state of affairs is, so to speak. But anyways, it's 2001. It's the original Volkswagen timing belt and the original tensioner. You can still see the factory glue. The belt's actually not looking too bad, but at 120,000 kilometers, you know, and 16 years old, it's definitely time to replace it. And the other thing, it being a cabriolet, nobody ever checks the cabin filter. That looks original as well. So it's gonna need it's gonna need some TLC to keep it going. Another sign that your turbo diverter valve is bad, obviously oil externally, but when you pull the connector off, you see oil inside the connector. Basically the diaphragm breaks, the oil goes through the solenoid, and it works its way into the connector. And as you can see, it leaves quite a mess. So just pushing this connector on, this is the oil that came out, and it leaves oil everywhere. It hasn't set a code yet, but it's going to need one of these diverter valves. When doing the heated core on a Eurovan, you don't have to disconnect or discharge the AC. Just make sure that all the bolts along here are loose, so that this whole assembly can move in towards towards the inside of the vehicle. There's enough slack on all these pipes to allow movement, but you have to remove 2 bolts. There's one right underneath the heater core pipes and one more down here. And recently I told somebody that they were 10 millimeters. This one had 5 millimeter Allens, so it's either a 10 millimeter hex bolt head or a 5 millimeter Allen. You don't have to flush or drain the cooling system. Just release the pressure, put the cap back on, and then remove these hoses and attach them together. And then I use a vacuum cleaner to suck out the coolant on the core, and that minimizes spillage inside the vehicle. this coolant hose that runs from the reservoir down to the back of the head here. There's a little bleeder rail or tube that it connects to. That hose is just starting to leak a little bit. It's got a little bit of a bubble. You can't really see it, but that crusty stuff is all a slight bit of coolant that's been weeping out or seeping out. Anyways, that hose from here to the reservoir, $236. That's Canadian. Wow. And you can't just put a regular hose in there because it's gonna kink. It's a preformed hose and comes with a protective liner. 236 bucks for a hose. Do we sell it now or wait until it leaks more? So you guys remember I had to heat up the nut to get the sway bar link off. Try not to heat it up too much, or any type of heat will basically affect the tie rod link. Not the tie rod link, the sway bar link. There's obviously plastic bushings in here. It's a plastic cup. The heat transfers over to the cup, and then the ball can pop out. I took it for a test drive after replacing these coil springs, and then all I heard was a clunk, and the tie rod link popped out. I keep saying tie rod link, sway bar link popped out. So it's a good idea to replace them at the same time. They're cheap, so it's added insurance. If you've been following me before or for a while, you know about these bleed hoses. How on the Eurovan there's one that's from the cylinder head. At the back of the cylinder head, it comes up this way and it bleeds the air out into the reservoir. So, and then there's one more here from the radiator nipple over to here. And I always say just test it by blowing into it. I blew into this hose, I could not blow into it. So I took the hose off, the hose is clear. See the nipple here? Here comes the air, and fluid is going to be coming out shortly. You see the air bubbles? Fluid level is dropping. So if the engine can't bleed the air out, you're going to run into overheating issues. So just poke it and then make sure it's clear. That's it. Nice and simple. Here's a better view. I had to cut it to a minute. Hi guys, so that was pretty much the end of May. Just the various bits. Unfortunately, one more update to my snap-on update videos. I promise this will be the last one. My latest update video was about the update having been done, and that it included the 2004 BEW information. Unfortunately, that was a blonde moment of mine. It was not the vehicle that I initially had focused on in my earlier video, which was the 2006 BRM engine, and that engine is still missing the data PIDs in terms of the guided component testing. So yeah, sorry, well, not sorry on my part, but you know, Snap-on is still missing some stuff, and you know, as long as you understand that that's what's going on with them, you know, again, any scan tool there's not one scan tool that can do everything, and I totally understand that. But my whole issue with the Snap-on platform is that it's been 10 years for a 2006 model. Stuff like that should be covered, especially taking into account 2 updates per year, as somebody has corrected me in one of my prior videos. There's an update at the beginning of the year and an update at the end of the year. So that's it. No more Snap-on updates from me, so you guys can breathe easy now. Anyways, that's it. I had a long thanks to everybody who accompanied me in the live chats yesterday. I'm wearing the same shirt again from my second live chat. I nearly passed out at the end there, drinking 6 beers. Will do that to you. But it was a great time. All these top techs taking part in my live chats. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I met a few other people. Michael Schoen and Nick Palmer, they joined in on the chats. Both of those guys are longtime viewers of mine, so I appreciate them chatting with me, especially via video chat. So basically, if you ever want to chat with me via video, take advantage of those live streams at the beginning of every month. So the next one will be in July. Let me just quickly check the actual date. It'll be July 1st, Canada Day. It's going to be a holiday an hour on my side of the continent, or across all of Canada, obviously. But I'll still be doing the live chat. Whether or not people have time to view live at that time, especially the Canadians, I don't know. But we will see. So anyways, thank you for watching as always, and I hope you like this various bits of May. Till next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.